And we're back with a brand new edition of the Build, Conquer, Repeat podcast, bringing you a new guest who is yet to be heard from, the grand Mason Secor.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mason.
Well,
how's it feel?
To be on, finally getting on after months of being here.
Yeah, Mason is our newest employee, but we kind of treat him like Sloth. You know, we lock him in the basement every now and then. We go down there and feed him a baby Ruth, and he goes, "You're beautiful." We just close the hatch and let him out to train one or two.
Yeah, people. I barely survive around here.
But Shall we? Wait, what is this podcast even over, Trey?
Motivation.
And Mason.
And Mason.
And what?
Those go hand in hand.
They rhyme.
Motivation and Mason. Do they even rhyme?
They don't rhyme at all.
Start with M. Close enough.
Yeah. But first, we must sniff, boys.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get it.
Hey, boys.
I'm excited for this.
You ready?
Shake, shake.
Bang, bang. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I got a good one.
Woo!
Yes. Ooh. Headshot's a good name for that one. It took me off. That was terrible.
You good?
Jeez.
Yeah, hold it together.
Feels like a kick in the teeth. Here's something that might feel like a kick in the teeth. And it's not directed towards everyone. For you guys listening, I really want you to examine yourself. And if the shoe fits, here we go. Why are we so satisfied with being average? Why is it okay to be an average Joe? Listen here. Average is a weak mentality. You're driving the path most traveled, the least scenic route, the proven, ill-rewarded, and seemingly less risky path. Well, I've got news for you. The clock is ticking. Every day, every hour, every minute, you are depriving yourself of the one thing you want most, the greatness that you hold. And why? Because the average is comfortable. It's easy. You get to skate along and tell yourself you're doing good enough. But here's the truth. You're probably not doing enough. There are so many people here I see, I know, and that I follow that is living in this situation. They don't have the intestinal fortitude to veer from the norm and chase what they want, the desire, and who they aspire to be. We all get stuck in this rut, a ritual of comfort and conformity. Although we all have something great about us. Every one of us has something great to bring to the table. It doesn't have to be athletic performance. It could be your career, your hobby, your relationship. Damn it, if nothing else, be the best damn parent, brother, sister, wife, husband, what have you around. It's there. We just need to take the step. I'm guilty too. We're all guilty. Look at us. We love being comfortable. We're all fluffy. But you know what I've learned? Opening Forge has taught me a lot of things. I could have easily decided to hop in the carpool lane and ride myself into a comfortable living. But you know what? I didn't. We didn't. I'm learning that the same risk it takes to open a business can be applied to every aspect of my life. And you bet I'm going to make sure that nothing in my life is average. From here on out, I'm taking the scenic route, and I challenge all of you listening to do the same. I know everybody at this table would agree that we would all rather be dead than average.
Agreed. Just straight
poet.
How's that for motivation?
Yeah.
Your weekly sermon.
Just word vomit.
Getting the
I write those
chills.
things down. I put that in my dream journal.
Dream journal.
But anyways, that was your little flare of motivation for you.
Right there.
All about being great.
Yeah.
Speaking of being great,
Yeah.
There's me.
what makes you great, Mason Secor?
I'm a trainer at Forge. That's what I'm great about. Whoa.
All right.
Nice. So, for you guys who don't know where Mason came from, because he's not from around here.
No.
Right?
Out of towner.
Montana. I met Mason when you were, what?
15,
16?
Yeah, 15. Yeah, 15, 16. Yeah.
When I was working at Prime in Montana.
Mm-hmm.
He was training with another
Cool guy.
great.
Awesome dude.
That's a wrong word. Not great. Awesome dude. He's a great dude.
Awesome dude.
But quickly he jumped to be one of my clients, and I kind of taught him what I know. And he eventually kind of branched out on his own, started reading, studying. You know, I could tell that he had the passion for training. So when Mike and I decided to open Forge, his was the first name that came to my head, because I knew that he wasn't going to want to pursue any other path and other than strength coaching, performance, and personal training. So we reached out to him. Gosh, we reached out to him early, like really early, and we kind of told him that we were thinking about hiring him and that if he could move down here to Sheridan, which is a big step because he's only 18 years old, right? So if he could move down here and kind of prove to us that he can do it on his own and that we're not over there wiping
my tissue,
that he could have a job here and start training, because honestly he would train exactly the way that I trained him, right? So with his own touches too. So
yeah.
I think that was a big reason we wanted to hire him, is because like he's a young buck, but it's like a clean slate, right? Like he doesn't necessarily have like this different perspective he's coming from, and he's kind of seen the benefits and kind of bought into the system that we kind of like work with, and the conjugate style and all that too.
And hey, me and my dad, we were the first, like, kind of, I remember eating in a mess hall with Chancellor, and he was telling us, all right, you're going to run this while we're just pounding down plates upon plates of pasta and pizza.
Yeah, that's another thing. We worked a lot with your dad as well, and your sister, because they were all part of Prime. And we've mentioned Brian before in the podcast. He was going through a back injury, and even when I was at my clinical rotation there at Prime, like I got to work with
you.
Brian
Helped him out a lot. He was like, Mike has helped my deadlift a lot, and like you got him back on track, and then running conjugate, that made him just even stronger.
Yep. I think one big reason that Brian just kind of blew up was, you know, he came from a place that was always critiquing his form, and he got in his head a lot. And that's one thing that we all as athletes do. Every lift that we do, we get in our heads. I remember one time Brian was about to hit a deadlift, and I was like, I could just tell he was going through this list in his head, and he was not confident in the lift. And I just looked at him. I was like, just rip it, man. Yeah. Who cares what they think? They can judge all they want. I just want you to see you lift that. And I think that is right before we switched into conjugate, and it just, that mentality transferred from Brian straight to Mason, right? Mason's really methodical in how he trains, how he lifts, how he like just does everything in the gym, just because he's a student of the game and he studies hard. But at the same time, he has the passion. He has that I'm just going to send it mentality. And that's one thing that you need, right? Because that is literally what we're talking about in the motivation, right? You can be safe and hit your RPE 6s and RPE 7s for days and days and days. But how much more risky is it take to do max effort day twice a week, every week?
And it's like the mentality of doing a max effort movement compared to like the RP, like block style of training. It's like you walk in there and you're like, okay, if I can put 5 pounds on, I'm putting 5 pounds on. It's like you're either going to get stapled or you're going to make it through the lift. And we've all gotten stapled, but we've all mostly make it through the lifts all the time.
I mean, think about just this week. I mean, I got stapled. And Mike was going to take the W for me.
He wouldn't let you know.
First time since like October of 2020 to finally get a W. I thought I had him, but it smelled blood in the water, and then he's like, nah, I'm going to do it again.
I literally, when I was yelling at Chancellor, I was like, don't let Mike beat you.
You guys have no idea how much that drives me.
You are competitive. That's like,
I think that's why I start to dislike max effort upper, is because that's one thing that Mike and I are like always neck and neck on. So it's like I just can't, hit like a easy squat or deadlift and just, feel good. I gotta like really compete against Mike, because if I slack up, and that's what happened. I was hitting that 405 by 5, and I was just like, I thought it was easy, and then I just misgrooved it. And then Michael goes, he's like, what did you say? You're like, well, Chancellor's close grip's bigger, and I was like, no, you got this, and he just makes it look like cake. And I was,
you definitely could have put on more weight on that one.
I just want to get it because he failed it. I'm not going to add weight after he failed it. So I'll beat him by 5 pounds. I don't care. But no,
but today is not the day, Michael.
I'm just going to get fat as hell now. I can beat him on bench again. But and I think what's another big part with Mason too is we've all noticed is like his passion for this. Like he told us, and even told the whole world. In fact, that he was I'm gonna work at Forge when I get out of high school.
Right on the grad card, you got it on your fridge.
Mason Stifle. Let me tell him how we found this out. We got a graduation invitation invitation, right?
Yeah, something like that.
And the little note behind it says, Mason Secor is planning on moving to Sheridan, Wyoming to work at Forge Physio and Performance before we'd even like sealed the deal.
I was determined to get in here, okay?
Some people just like make multiple calls, like, "Hey, just want to check in and see if you guys are still hiring."
Not Mason. He just tells the whole world.
Puts on his graduation card. Bold move, my friend.
You guys actually, sorry, man, we can't get you. Oh, I already moved down. Sorry.
It was almost like a checkmate, though.
I know.
It was like a pretty. It was a power play.
It is a power move.
It's like, hey guys, I already told everybody, so you might as well hire me.
I know.
That's. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah. No, it worked clearly.
So one thing with Mason, I guess it's more of a question is, how do you feel when you're training people that are a lot older than you, right? Because you're young gun, right? But the thing is, and here's training age for Mason is a lot larger than most. When we were his age, we were not lifting as heavy as he was. Other than bench, we were always bench press.
Right, dude.
Right? But his training age is very experienced.
Yeah.
Right? Just because he's been doing it for a long time. Yeah. So do you ever feel like there's pushback because of your age?
Actually, no. Most people, when they come in here, like, I think since, like, they know you so well and, like, they know you're a really good trainer and you trust me to train them, I think that's kind of lets people, like, calm down a bit. But, like, honestly, I think some people are kind of like, okay, let's see, like, the first couple weeks if this guy actually knows what he's, like, doing, right?
Right.
But I know because Val, shout out Val, she's a killer. But I think, like, the first week, like, I was kind of panicking. Like, I was like, oh, God, I'm actually training people. And it's like, but I know, like, you and Mike, you guys both told me that story. Like, when I first came here, you're like, don't worry, you'll be fine. You know, we're, like, we both, like, choked on our first, like, couple days of training. But now it's kind of like I'm finally, like, smoothing it down and, like, I'm getting more comfortable around people and, like, training people because it's like I think about it in my head, okay, so this 50-year-old guy and then he's taking orders from an 18-year-old. It's like, okay, that seems kind of weird, but like you said, I'm very passionate about this. You know, I try to educate myself as much as I can.
Right.
And, like, you educated me, Mike. You sent me all the articles when I was about to move down here. Like, read all this before you come down.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's, like, the main point of that.
Yeah, no, seriously. And that's the whole reason why we hired him.
Yeah.
Right? It's because we want people. The thing is, and the hard thing is when you're hiring a trainer, and it's because Mike and I, we've worked in so many gyms, you're going to have trainers that have all different approaches to lifting. Yeah. Some of them might be valid. There's multiple ways to roam, but some of them are just ridiculous, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just like, why are you doing that? That doesn't make any sense, right? And that's one thing huge that I'm worried about when I hire people, is because I don't want to have to micromanage somebody because I don't think what they're doing is correct, right? Unless they can show me evidence that it works, right? And it's not like, I don't need scientific evidence. I don't need you to Google an article or whatever.
You need results.
I need results, right? And I need feedback from our clients. And that's one thing that we get praises from Mason all the time. And same with Trey. It's like they do a great job. Everybody loves them. So, like, to me, that's a win. They're both running our same system. They know how to run that, to work it. They would train people exactly the way that we would train them. And so that's why we wanted to hire Mason.
Yeah. Well, I think what's cool about Mason too, and Trey as well, is like they're so passionate about this sport and this field. Like, that's what we want too, is like someone that's in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
Mason's like going to go directly from high school to this, like no plans of anything else. Like, he told Chance, like, I want to be a trainer. I want to be like, that's the career path I'm going to do. This
isn't
like
cut you off like just a little bit, but like the story,
sweet,
just right there, boom. Okay, but just a little side story. Okay, I remember I was just like playing video games. This is a really short story, and I shouldn't have cut you off, but I'm going to send it. Okay,
send it.
But I remember like when Chancellor called me, I was playing video games like in my room because, you know, that's what you do as a high school. And
currently.
And that's what I'm currently doing. But anyway, and I remember I just got a random call from Chancellor, and Chancellor never calls, or like, only way you can get a hold of Chancellor is DM him on Instagram. Don't text him, DM him on Instagram. Is that
really a thing?
Yes,
confirmed, yeah.
That is confirmed.
Absolutely, yeah.
No way.
Yes.
You texted me first like a couple days ago. I responded, and you didn't respond.
Chancellor's acting surprised. He's like, what? No way.
But
everybody knows but you.
Dang,
for sure.
Yeah. I'll work on that. That's not great at all.
No. But But and I got a call from Chinser. I was like, hello, like, what do you want? And he was like, hey, what are you doing right now? I'm like, I'm just being lazy, you know, playing some video games. He's like, well, do you want to come down and work at Forge? And I'm like, just mouth dropped. I'm like, yeah. And I don't know, I was just so excited. And I told my dad like instantly. He was like, yeah, if you don't take this, you're an idiot. Yeah. Like, and I know that's a little side story.
Props to your dad for being so supportive too.
No, that's like the biggest thing.
I mean, yeah, they came down here a couple months ago together to check it out.
Dude, how rare is that?
Yeah,
because rare. The thing is, as a parent, and this is my experience, I'm sure it's Trey's and Mike's, and probably not Mason, because he's the anomaly here.
Yeah.
But most parents want you to take, dude, this plays so perfectly into this. They want you to take that average life,
path,
right?
The safe path, college, yeah.
What do you think in Brian's head when he was like, hey, I know Chancellor just opened up a gym during COVID. Yeah, let me move my son down there by himself who's 18 and has never lived on his own.
Yeah.
But Brian was like, no, screw that. Like, this is your chance at greatness, buddy. Let's go.
Yeah.
Boom!
Dude, that gives me hands right now just thinking about it.
Because, it's so rare to find that, and that's like props to Brian, because even when I was thinking about doing this, moving out of my garage, right, I was told by my parents, like, hey, why don't you get a real job so you can save up to buy a place?
Yeah.
And you know what? Just because the way I am, I was just like, not a chance. Like, I'll if it doesn't work, at least I can say I tried it, right? And maybe that's just because stuff like that, what I just said in the beginning, I read off my phone in the beginning, it just flows in my head constantly.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, huge props to Brian. And he was all aboard too, right? He called us with questions, and we weren't even ready for it. He was drilling us, and Michael and I were like, whoa.
That's a good point. I guess he does need somewhere to live.
That's like the biggest thing, like, about my dad. Like, he's the most supportive person. Like, when I got into powerlifting, like, he was out on a trip somewhere in like a different state, and I was lifting in my buddy's garage on this, just the worst rack ever. Like, that thing could collapse on you at any moment. And I just took a picture because I knew he was really into the gym, and I took a picture of the rack, and he was like, are you actually getting into the gym? Like, he was so excited for me, because it was just him and my sister at the time at Fuel Fitness, which is like a commercial gym, and it's garbage. It is. And my sister was stupid, like, strong, like, stronger than me, and
still is strong.
Yeah, no, still super strong, like, and I was like not really competitive. Like, I was always competitive, but when it came to lifting, I was like, these guys are just fat people trying to lift weight. That doesn't seem like cool to me at all. And then look at me now.
Yeah,
I'm getting to be fat. I'm trying to get there. And then I'm lifting fat weight in my own head.
And then Brian just is like, you're getting into lifting. Yeah. Let me buy you a membership to one of the most expensive gyms in town.
Yeah.
And hire you a trainer.
Yep.
And even though I have never had a trainer, let me hire my son one. So that is the passion, right? He wants Mason to be great.
Yeah.
And like the way that Mike and I were kind of talking when we were thinking about hiring Mason was like, how lucky of an opportunity is that? Because when I was 18, I had to go to the military because one, I couldn't afford college, and I did not like the military that much, right?
Yeah.
I'm terrible at taking orders, and I'm way too competitive to do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a great experience, but like, how lucky is someone to be this young and go into something that they want to do? And the thing is that's going to keep him from being complacent. Yeah. He's going to keep learning. He's going to keep growing, because as he gets stronger, he's going to figure things out that works for him that maybe didn't work for us. And I mean, just his potential here is going to grow tenfold as we even grow too, right? And he's a huge part of this too. Like, he's not just the part-time trainer that I have here. Yeah. Mason is here swapping the decks with us. Like, like he comes over and eats all my food at night. Like,
hey, that's the best part of this job. Great, come on.
But
no, it's kind of crazy, like, to think about like your potential, because you know, all of us, like, we kind of fell upon this like far later in life, and even just like hooking on to like something that we're really passionate about, where we're like kind of all bought in. Like, for all of us, that was like, late 20s, if then. And it's like to find that at 18, and just to be as experienced you are with lifting, like kind of the sky's the limit, which is really cool. And like we're grateful to have somebody that is, it's like some people are like, well, would it be better to hire somebody that's more experienced? It's like, no way. Like having somebody that starts off fresh like that, and then to be there for like their whole journey and process, like I think that's like an ideal situation for both of us. And really,
that's like the perfect mentality for me, for like you guys hiring me, because like you said, most people would just want the guy with more experience, but you guys are like empty slate. Like you guys have taught me so much, even you, Trey. Like I've seen you, like when I was shadowing like you when I first came here, like I was like, okay, do this with like clients, like talk to them this way, like just like learning off of all you guys is like tremendous for like my experience. And it's like when I get to like chancers or your old age, I'll be like Dave Tate if you don't know who that is. I'll be the Walmart version of Dave Tate.
There we go.
That's all right. Yeah,
great
I like the confidence.
Yeah. But yeah.
The one cool thing is the contrast between the paths. Like the path that you had to forge and myself and Mike is probably very different from the path that he's forging.
Yep. But
he's still going in that same direction. And then there's that one common denominator, which is that motivation that you're talking about, that mindset.
Right.
Two very different paths, but you still have that same thing guiding you.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I think it's so rare for someone his age to be like that, though. It's like when you're 18, like you want to go to college because you want to party, you want to mess around, you want to be dumb.
I was lost.
Oh yeah,
at
like
18.
For Mason, I mean, he's 18, but for have that kind of clarity of like what he likes and like, how he's out not just doing stupid stuff every weekend, and he's like actually kind of like setting up his career and what he wants it to turn into, and has a vision for the future. It's like it's a unique person at your age to be like that, because we sure as hell were not. Not even close.
I needed the military when I was 18. I was a punk, man. I was not even close. Like, I didn't have anything that I was that passionate about. All I cared about was chasing girls. That was it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't very good at it. So, I mean, it sucked. So,
you were getting in the gym though.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've always had a gym, but the thing is like Mike and I, and even you, we didn't grow up with a mentor. Like we didn't have anybody, and if we did, it was kind of like the old guy at the YMCA that was doing everything wrong. Doing everything wrong.
If you ever watch our old lifting videos, like at the YMCA, it's just cringeworthy.
Yeah,
our squats
so
and our
bad, right?
We never deadlifted.
We never,
and we squatted maybe once in a blue moon.
Yeah, I started deadlifting when I was
press.
right before prime, dude.
Yeah,
that's how. I mean, that's
really
fresh. Dude. That's like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Not even.
And you're Mason at 16 or 18. Sorry, almost pulling 600.
Yeah.
Dude, that's like the biggest thing though, having a mentor, like having you guys like actually not just like giving me the knowledge, but like actually teaching me how to like lift. Because I remember, I don't know why this memory is in my head, but like I remember the first time you came down to Prime and you were with my trainer at the time, not Chancellor.
Yeah.
But and I thought I was a hot shot because I could deadlift 405, and I did 405, looked over to you, and you just looked so unimpressed. Just your face, you're just like...
like, I'm gonna press this guy.
I'm like, okay, this guy's kind of stoic, but no, like even Chancellor's like on my deadlifts today, like he was like, you need to get more leg drive, and like I was like, okay, how does this look? Like having like that's a big thing in the gym, always having people like look at your lifts.
Oh yeah,
like that's massive. And like I started out like just with crappy deadlift form. Like first time I did 315, like I did a sumo stance with my hands outside of my legs.
No way.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Like strongman style?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's just terrible.
Yeah. Well, dude, that's one thing, and it takes a certain person to actually listen to critiques, right?
Yeah.
Like, and not just be offended. And that's one thing here. And one question is like, now that you are in, we're established. Now that you're here, what do you think of like the culture when you're here? When you're like you're seeing people and how they interact, and like it's got to be kind of black and white from where you came from.
100%, dude. It was like where I came from. It was like you knew like people, but like this is like a family.
Yeah.
Like it's you come in here, everyone knows everyone, and it's like. Everyone's so friendly here. Like nobody's just like there's that random guy in the corner who never talks. Everyone's like, oh, I know that guy, and like even when Trey's like car broke down, like his client literally got a tow truck for him and went out. Like that's such a good move, dude. Like that's
pretty cool.
And,
Shout out to
That's
Jerry
boss.
Flores. What a boss.
shout out, dude.
He is a boss.
And it's
Love
like
Jerry.
That's the main thing. It's like that family and like everyone's like always like, and when you're saying like critique people,
Yeah.
like when I was at like my other gym and like I got critiqued, it was like this guy probably just like, God, this guy's form is so trash, you know. But like here, it's like that good energy already, and then when you get critiqued, you're like, oh yeah, I see that, you know.
Yeah.
It's like you're not taking it in a bad way.
It's not like, hey, what you just did was garbage,
Yeah.
so you should do this completely. No, that's, as a trainer and a coach, that's one thing I tell everybody is like, you never, even if it is garbage, you don't focus on that, right?
Yeah.
You should go up to them and be like, hey, even if it's like the deadlift is complete worm chad, it's like, hey, I liked where your feet were.
Yeah.
It's like you stood in place perfectly. You breathed nice. Now let's focus on this, right?
Well, I think for us, like probably us three, it comes from a place because we should be humble, because if we know where we came from, like we are
Absolutely.
all really trash.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like we're not like, necessarily came from a place where we all just like were mentored or had somebody, like we can look back at the way we used to lift and how many years it took us to finally kind of get the ball rolling for our understanding of like how the technique and the form and all that matters. So it's like, I'm going to look at somebody that's Mason's age or whatever, or just new to it, and realize like, oh, I've 100% been there. Like I've seen how I lift. I know how I used to lift. So it's pretty arrogant of me to like judge somebody if like I know how bad I used to be.
Right.
Yeah, you didn't just come out of the womb with perfect.
No, no. Yeah.
Not at all.
So, I mean, I think nobody does. And one huge thing I like to point out about Mason, being young, is he's not like the generation of the kids that I see and train and, that are obsessed with TikTok. And
Yeah.
it's like Brian, another shout out to Brian, raised him right.
Yeah.
It's just like he's a direct reflection of, having respect and integrity and doing what he needs to do and doing it well.
Yeah.
So, that's why he's here.
To be honest, I
100%.
forget he's 18 sometimes.
Oh, me too,
I
man.
always do.
Yeah.
I
With
do.
this, it's the stash.
It is the stash.
Well, when you grew that little stash, this guy's like 34. I don't know.
He's between 40 and 18. I have no idea.
It's a random. We don't know.
But as a
Yes.
compliment, man. Like, seriously.
Yeah,
It's cool.
Sometimes I forget that I'm not 18, so.
Yeah.
maybe we're just so immature.
Yeah.
that it's like
Absolutely.
It's like a
same.
really low threshold, It's really, really low. It's like talking to infants around here. So, but yeah, he kind of just embraces the culture and what we want here in Forge. That's why we hired him. That's why he's here.
Yeah, I think for us, we were kind of worried because it's like we're new to being business owners, and it just feels like a gamble. Like, oh my gosh, like for us, this is like our baby. So it's like anybody we bring on, it's like you are super defensive of it. But both of you guys have like really just blown us out of the water. Like we feel so safe and secure and like confident that you guys can handle like your clients. And it's like kind of amazing how like little actually probably no complaints we get, which is just like super lucky. It's like we don't have to worry about kind of covering your end or trying to rearrange people because like they aren't good fits. Like you guys are just so good at what you do that it really, from our perspective, makes things that much smoother and easier not to stress that,
And that's
you
rare
guys don't
too.
got your- yeah,
Because,
it's super
at the
rare.
other places that I've trained, that happened constantly.
Oh, yeah, it's always
I gained
an
a lot
issue.
of clients because of that.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
So
oftentimes an issue, right?
it's just that speaks a lot about a person, right? Because they can be understanding and learn how to talk to somebody else and how to teach somebody else and make them feel confident in what they're doing. And when hiring you two and not having a single person be like, I kind of, and like some people have trained with me before, which that's like I'm not gonna toot my own horn, but that's like a big thing for you guys too, because it's like
You have to pick
their
up
standards
after
are
that,
high.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
right.
Because I'm always into it, and I've always want to teach them and help them learn to grow. So if I can pass them on, have this transition be just completely perfect, and then they just keep going with you guys. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
No,
And it's one thing that's like also because of the like community is like we all get like along so well. Like when I first met Trey, I was like we instantly just like just started talking. It was like no problem. It was like not like just small talk. And like with you guys, I've known you longer than Trey, but like I feel like I've known him just as long as you guys.
Right.
And it's just like that where it's not like we have like a grudge against someone and then we bring it into the gym and just like that bad energy on top of that. I'll just ruin it.
Yeah, no, it's really cool, the dynamic we all have. It's just kind of like, obviously we're all in a business and working together, but it's like freaking hang out all the freaking time and have a good time.
Sleep on the couch, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, that's what we wanted too, is like, obviously you want to hire people that, not Mason, you can't grab a beer with Mason, but it's like somebody you want to grab a beer with, right?
Yeah. Same scenario, though.
I grab a
root beer.
Grab a soda.
You guys have literally any cream soda in the fridge?
No.
I had to grab a orange juice when we went to that little what was that, the after party or something like that?
Yeah,
Oh,
Classic.
the Classic.
Yeah.
Classic. And you're
Like a boss, though. You were up there with the big boys with your OJ.
I want an orange juice, please.
Sorry, Brian. He
make it a double.
was sitting at the bar.
On the
He was
rocks,
sitting at the bar.
Juice on the rocks.
But the thing is, because of the stash, no one knew he was 18.
Nobody
knew.
No.
Exactly.
But he did have a nice orange juice.
Nice cold orange juice.
And a blue dolphin, a water.
Yes. I know. And street tacos.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just greasy. But, yeah.
Well, that kind of sums up this podcast. So that's Mason for everybody who hasn't met him.
Yeah.
There's probably some people here that haven't met him yet because he's, like I said, locked in the dungeon.
Locked in the dungeon.
Might let him out a little bit more as time goes on.
Yeah.
So if you
Just
see him,
maybe.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, build yourself, conquer adversity, and repeat daily. Do these things and stick to a gym that has great culture, and you will succeed. Punch the mic.